do dirty bulks work, and what are my thoughts on dirty bulking? Um, if I'm honest, I think that dirty bulks are often a bad idea. Um, so what the premise of dirty bulking is that you will put on a lot of size and a lot of strength, and that like you're eating these foods that are very calorie dense, and and you're getting in those calories really easily. What I think the problem with dirty bulking is that um, you'll put on a lot of fat, and your nutrition and your overall health will be really shit. And and that might, and you might be of the mentality that like, oh well, I don't care, I just want gains. But there's um, what's called second order consequences and third order consequences to those actions. So what second order consequences are the consequences to your consequences, you know? So, and this is something that we really should be taught, but we're not, as like we're not taught this in school, we're not taught as a society. But it's extremely important, and I think successful people understand this, or come to learn this in some way, and like unsuccessful people don't. So what second order consequences are that, like, let's say you buy a TV, you know, and then first order consequences are, okay, you have to pay for that TV, and then um, and then that's it, you're done, you know, and that's it. Maybe you, let's say you bought it on a credit card, so you have to pay for it for like a few months or something. That's it. Okay, that's your first order consequences, which are just the direct things that happen as a direct result of buying that TV. Second order consequences are what happened after that. So like consequences of the direct results of what happened of buying the TV. So second order consequences would be, okay, well now the TV is around more and you see it, so you spend like another 3 hours watching TV, where before you had that 3 hours and you'd spend it like going to the gym. But now suddenly, because you bought this stupid new TV, you have to watch it all the time, and then you start watching it more, and you start watching TV like 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, you know, that's an example of a second order consequence. And then it goes down, and you want to think of second and third order consequences and beyond that, you know. So, okay, suddenly you're watching the TV, you bought this TV, okay, and then suddenly it's there. Now you watch it 3 or 4 times a day, and then now because you watch it 3 or 4 times a day, suddenly you stop going to the gym, you know, um, and suddenly you um, hang out with your friends less because now you just want to sit at home and watch Netflix instead. These are all like second and third order consequences, and it kind of keeps spiraling downward like that. Um, so to the question of uh, dirty bulking, it's the same thing. That like if you dirty bulk, you might think that, oh well, I don't care, I just want to make great gains. And at first you'll put on like a lot of size really quickly. Like your insulin will shoot up, your calories you're gonna be getting are gonna be like a lot. The sodium you're gonna be getting is a lot, and you'll suddenly be like a lot bigger, a lot stronger. But the second order, third order consequences are really horrible and detrimental, and will cut at all parts of your life, and will do so at your lifting too. So what'll end up happening, and I know this because I've extreme dirty bulked, and I've done it for different periods of time. At times I've done it for years at a time. At other times I've done it for like a couple months. What'll end up happening is that you'll be dirty bulking, and you'll start to feel slow. I remember that I started to feel like depressed, like just like shit, and like I would work out and it would be hard to get through that workout, and I'd come home and I'd do nothing like all day because I didn't have the energy to do anything else. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel positive. I felt pretty horrible, and I felt just pretty shit in all different ways. You know, I my mood would kind of become really crappy, and that's what happens if you start eating dirty, is that it affects your mood. And it my sleep would become worse, so the gains I would make would become worse. And yeah, sure, I could look at the scale and say I was putting on size, but really more of that was fat and very little of it was muscle. And I was putting on a ton of fat because like I went from weighing like 155 to weighing 170. Then because of that, like, yeah, my lifts are gonna go up a little bit, but it was not proportional. So like technically I lost strength because the body weight I put on, most of it was fat, and then I got a little stronger only because of body weight difference. Because if you put on 15 pounds of body weight, some of your lifts are going to go up. Your squat and bench will probably go up. um, dirty bulking can be extremely unhealthy, extremely bad for your health, extremely kind of counterproductive to your goals and to like all other areas of your life. And I think it's not necessary. I think the ideal thing to do is to just get some caloric surplus and not more than you need. The reason for this is that your body can only put on a certain amount of lean muscle at a time. If you put on more fat, then you don't get to carry more muscle, maybe just a tiny bit, but not much more than that. So there's no way you can really speed up the process. Your body's going to put on what the amount of muscle that it can put on and not much more. um, this means that, like, let's say you can put on a couple pounds of muscle a month. If you suddenly start like upping your calories drastically, significantly, you're not going to put on more muscle past that point. You're going to put on about the same amount, and then if you're putting on extra pounds after that, it's just extra fat. Your body can put on a ton of fat in like 1 month or in a couple weeks, but it can't put on a ton of muscle. The amount of muscle, just from different studies, is pretty fixed in as far as how much can be put on over a certain amount of time, how much can be put on in a month or a couple months. And outside of that, uh, it's about being patient, making sure you're getting some caloric surplus, but not a lot more than that. Doing things dirty, so to speak, does not help anything. It'll make you look bigger. It'll give you the impression that you look bigger. You'll be stronger in the short term a little bit, but um, because of all the calories, because of all the sodium, it'll kind of blow you up. But it's all kind of a short term effect, and it's not something that's sustainable in the long term. It's not something that's healthy in the long term, and it's something that will directly cut out from your lifting in the long term. It will like negatively impact and negatively uh, really harm your lifting in the long term. And yeah, and I speak about this from personal experience because I saw that, like, oh, I could dirty bulk, I could put on size and strength really quickly, but it always came at a price. And now I've been doing it clean for over 2 years, 2.5 years, maybe 3 years, for like a long time now, where like I'll just eat clean, eat healthy, nutritious foods, and eat a certain slight caloric surplus, and that's it. I don't like really drastically bulk and cut. I don't dirty bulk at all, but I don't even clean bulk. I would just get like a caloric surplus, a little over what I need to get, and if I want to lose weight, I'll have like a caloric deficit just a little under what I need to get. And I do things gradually because I see that my body responds well to that, and most people's bodies respond well to doing things gradually, and not doing things super drastically. Um, so if I want to get more calories in, I just uh, eat a little more than my TDEE, which is my total daily energy expenditure. I'll eat a little more than that if I want to if I want to lose weight like a little bit. I want to get cut up, get shredded. Then I'll eat a little less. All you need to do is kind of like light bulks and recomps, like where you, so no crazy bulks, um, no dirty bulks, no crazy bulks. It's not needed, and your body can't put on more muscle over a period of time. It can only put on a certain amount, and that amount that it can put on is not accelerated if you're bulking more, you're eating more calories, and you're putting on more size. You'll get the look that you fit your clothes more, that you look bigger, that you look stronger, but it's just a look, and that's it. Um, a lot of that is just sodium, is just dirty calories, and it's you putting on a lot of fat. Which if you put on a lot of fat and you're suddenly 5 or 10 pounds heavier, yeah, you're gonna be a little stronger, but that's just fat. It's not muscle. And if you lost that body weight, you'd lose all that strength too. Um, so that's kind of directly what happened to me. Um, I'd say that, like, of my friends that I know, like some have tried dirty bulking, but then those who have tried it and like really seriously done it, like they did it for like a little bit and then they got away from it because they saw that it's like really harmful for their life. And the only people that like kept kind of doing it are people that like were eating pretty shitty anyway and just needed some excuse to eat dirty and like feel like they're doing something good. um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Like it's similar to the guys that are on like IIFYM, if it fits your macros diets, and they're like, oh, they're getting Pop Tarts and they're getting dirty foods in because they're like, oh, well, it fits, but maybe they're not the healthiest, and maybe it's not really helping them get like a much better diet than if they were getting it from cleaner foods. But it's giving them that excuse to kind of get to eat dirty. Which, if you want that excuse, you want to feel good about yourself. Okay, you can say that you're dirty bulking, but if you want results, you can always do it healthily with clean, nutritious foods. Have a cheat meal once in a while, but but there's no point to dirty bulking. You don't need it. It's not necessary. Even bulking is not needed or necessary. Where bulking came from is from bodybuilders that were on steroids that would put a lot of size on them, and they can then like cut down and retain all of the muscle. And that's why they kind of did it in a bulking and a cutting way versus doing it in like a lean way, is because they could put on more muscle being on steroids. And they could put on more size, and then they could lose body fat and not lose muscle and retain all the size that they kept, that they put on. So for them, maybe it made sense, but for any person that's not on anything, especially, it does not make sense. And I think any person in general, you want to eat clean, nutritious foods, because those foods have nutrition, they have nutrients in them, they have micronutrients in them, and they have like vitamins that will that your body needs. They have vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin uh, E, vitamin D, etc. You know, your calcium, magnesium. Your body needs all of these things. It gets that from real food. And if you're dirty bulking, that's another thing, is that you're not going to get a lot of that nutrition. You're not going to get these different foods that you need. There's a lot of nutrition in vegetables, in apples, in oranges, in kale, spinach, eggs, other things that like your body needs. And if you're eating dirty, you're not getting that, you know. Um, and ultimately, that's gonna be what really puts lasting size and strength on your frame, and kind of to your muscle and to your strength. That's It's gonna build strength that lasts and muscle that lasts. Um, if you do it dirty, you'll only fluctuate your body weight, and you'll make temporary gains. You're not going to make lasting gains, because your body's getting no nutrition, and the foods that it's eating is providing a very little, if any, nutrition if it's being done dirty. um, and you'll get the impression that you're putting on size and strength, but you're actually not. You're just doing it in the short term, but you're not doing it in a way that's like lasting, you know. um, yeah, and it's all kind of like, it's like fake, and it's temporary, and it's extremely unhealthy for your body. There's no positives and there's only negatives. So that's kind of like an all-in-one summary of like why I do not recommend dirty bulking and why it's really harmful and bad for you. Um, but yeah, I that's kind of all I can think of to say at the moment. What's the alternative is to eat clean, eat fairly healthy, eat nutritious foods, eat um, kind of like a paleo style diet, and have some carbs, some protein, some uh, veggies and fruits, and get your protein from like animal sources, from like meat, chicken, fish, and you should do okay. If you want to gain weight and you want to put on muscle, eat like a little more than what you burn, eat a little more than your TDEE, and if you want to lose weight, you eat a little less, um, and you lose weight in that way. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's why I think that dirty bulking is generally a bad idea. My experiences with it have been almost all negative, and even though I put on like a lot of size and strength doing it, a lot of it was temporary, and a lot of it I lost. And it only lasted when I ended up doing it healthily and in a clean way, with clean foods and like whole foods. So that's kind of my thoughts on the topic. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys next time then.